Hi, my name's Darren. Welcome to my workshop. Over the next few weeks I'm going to be building a sewing table for my girlfriend. So today I'm going to start assembling the top. I'm going to make that out of slats of pine glued together to make like a block sort of effect across the whole table there. And once I've made the top, I'll progress down to the cabinet. And so the idea is now what I've got to do is I've got to plane them to get a nice straight edge or a couple of straight edges on them all, and then put them through the thicknesser so they're all the same thickness. Then I'm going to join them together with biscuits. So that's all the pieces of wood laid out as to what's going to be the table. I've made it slightly oversized so as I can trim it off when it's all done. So now I'm going to number all of these pieces of wood so I can make sure I get them back in the right order when I've put the biscuits in there. So that's number 1.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
22 and 23. Alright, so that's them numbered. Now I need to mark where the biscuits are going to go. So to make sure I don't overlap into the edges, I'm actually going to get some biscuits and use them for spacing. Okay, so I've got myself some size 20 biscuits. So let's just pop them roughly where we think they're going to go.
Also, you're making sure you've got enough biscuits. Not too much. And then you can do that.
The whole reason for doing this is it allows me to spread the biscuits round in a way that's going to basically hold them as strongly as possible without interfering with each other. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a pencil mark where each of those were, like so. This will be the underside of the tabletop, so I'm going to reference the biscuit joiner off the workbench. So the workbench, or this side, will be the top. So we'll get it all nice and even reference to the top. So here we go. Alright, so I'm going to glue this up half a tabletop at a time and then glue the two halves together. And the reason I'm going to do that is so I can still fit them through my thickness planer, or thicknesser, or planer, depending on where you're from. So yeah, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to glue up half the tabletop, clamp it up, and run it through the thicknesser later on when it's dry, of course. Now that all the slats of the tabletop are together, I'm going to put a piece of plywood on the other side of it. This is going to be the top. So on the back I'll put a piece of plywood for a bit of extra strength and a bit of extra dimensional stability as well. Now I'm making the side pieces to protect the edges and also to hide the fact that there's plywood down there underneath the pine. So I'm just cutting them to length here, and they're going to be cut at 45-degree angles, like so. So as to have a nice little box surround on it. I've got this big long piece of Douglas fir that I'm going to break down and use for the sides. It's quite long. It'll be nice to get it off the wood shelf. It's been weighing that down for some time now. So I'm going to chop that down and use that for the sides of the table. And the reason for that is it'll give it a fair bit of bulk. So hopefully keep it bottom heavy even when the sewing machine's on top of it. We don't want it to topple. As you can see, it's not so flat at the moment, so I'm going to break it down into pieces longer than we need, and then plane those pieces flat, and then we'll end up with something we can work with. So I only need 705mm length, but I'm going to cut them 750. Got a bit of play then. Now the problem with cutting pieces of wood like this that aren't so straight is that as you cut them, of course it suddenly becomes two pieces of wood. One of the two can shift, or sometimes both of them can shift, trap the blade, ruins your cut, can be dangerous. So that's why I've clamped this side down, and I'll hold the other end still with my hand. In fact, I'm going to clamp the other end as well, for exactly that reason. We don't want it to shift. I built the thing so we could use clamps, so let's use them. So the top's together, and I've gone over it with a bit of 60 grit paper just to even everything out. Filled a little divot you can see in the middle. That was a knot hole, the piece of knot had come out. So that's been filled with a bit of filler. And I've rounded the corners over here with a round over bit, top and bottom, just to make that smooth to hold. We'll get through and round these corners off later, but I'm going to leave them as they are now because it's probably going to get bashed a tiny bit as I go on through the next phases, which is the other reason I haven't sanded past 60 grit yet. So what we're going to do next is flip him over like so, and start working out how we're going to fit the legs. Let's slide. So the legs are going to go like so at the end. Now the whole table is going to be on wheels. So at the end of the legs, so where we've got two legs like so, I'm going to have another piece across like this. And then that piece is going to have the wheels mounted on it. So the whole thing can be pushed around, moved to where it needs to be. So here's a rather shaky freehand view of what the finished unit will look like, or similar anyway. Obviously it's upside down at the moment and nothing's held together. That cross member, which is going to stop the legs from splaying apart, of course will be joined flush between the 2 feet. So it won't be sitting on top like that. Down here, this long plank is because I'm going to cut a hole in the top there to allow the sewing machine to recess or to sit flush with the top, basically. And then at this end, I'll put in a little drawer, so I'll store some stuff in that end. I'm going to have to leave these open at either side so hands can get in and access the base of the sewing machine to get to the plug or whatever else needs to be done. I'm also going to oversize it slightly in case a bigger sewing machine comes along later. One thing that will become apparent now, if it didn't before looking at the top, is this is very small for a sewing machine. And that's because it's got to fit in a small space. The reason it's got wheels on it, or it's going to have wheels on it, is so it can be moved out away from a wall and then used. In order to align the legs and to make sure they're the same distance apart, top and bottom, I've cut out a piece of, it's just plywood, just a plywood spacer that's 17.5mm wide, that's what the gap is. Just so as I line all these parts up, they're just sitting there loose now, it just keeps them in even space. It's one less thing I have to worry about during the alignment procedure. And so far it's working very well. I've also drawn little tiny lines with a marking gauge in the centre of the legs and in the centre of the feet, so as I can line these centres up between feet and legs. Just makes it a bit quicker than trying to do it with a ruler or a tape measure That takes quite a while. So I'm going to hold these bottom boards on with screws. Give me a bit of strength there, besides the glue. I didn't think that dominoes would be appropriate going that way, so we're not going to use them. I'm going to use 40mm screws because they're just long enough. Well, they're about as long as I can get without going through the wood on the other side. If I go 50mm, I'll go through. If I go 30mm, well, I could have gone longer and got more support. I'm not going to screw them together now though. I'm going to do that later on when I glue the whole thing together. At the moment, it's just getting things lined up. So I've sanded all my legs down to 180 grit on all sides. Now I'm going to take them over to the router table and route a round over on all the corners. It's going to be a lot easier to do it now than to wait until it's assembled. It'll be very hard to do assembled, so let's round the corners over. So I'll repeat that for all of them, and then I'll sand it at 240. Now I'm going to make the drawer for the front here where it slides out. So to make sure that I get the heights right, I'm going to take the lid back off. You can see I've placed a little wooden spacer at the back there as a way of getting my measurements for my side pieces, just to get them to the right length and still allow a little bit of an air gap at the back. I don't want it slamming into the back panel every time it shuts. I'm going to have an artificial front across here, so there won't be any need for it to go all the way back and ram into this piece. Alright, so, and these of course are my front and back panels, like so. I'm going to do dovetails, so they're cut to the full width. In fact, that's perhaps a little bit too wide. I'm going to trim another millimetre off there now. But I want them to be basically the full width here, which was supposed to be 25 centimetres, but it looks like it's 24.8 now, or 24.9 looking at this. So the idea of having this the same width is once I've made the dovetails, of course, they'll stick all the way through. And I want it to be a tight fit now, so as when I sand the sides after the pins and tails are all joined together, that sanding will then give me the extra space I need for it to slide in and out freely. You'll also notice that my pieces of wood aren't as high here, and that's to allow for the lip of the top of the table as it curls round over the edge. Okay, let's make some dovetails. I've decided to use my Gifkins dovetail jig to make the drawer. Okay, so now all my pieces are the same width, so I'm going to use 2 end stops.
And slide that up.
Going to cut the rails first. So, and this is the side we do the dovetails on. So the way I remember it, because it rhymes, is tails on rails. Nice and easy. And that gives us our nice front to back strength that we want on a set of drawers. So now, using the Gifkins jig, I've made my tails on these pieces and my pins on these pieces. And also, if I bring these closer to the camera, there's your mistake too. You can see I've cut grooves in. I used the router on that because it's easier to stop. You can see I've stopped rather than go all the way through at either end, and it's a lot easier to do that on a router than it is on a table saw. So that's why that's done that way. So that is so as we can slot in a bit of this plywood as the base. So there we go. That's a pretty good fit there. This is the assembled drawer more or less. Obviously there's a frontis piece to go yet. I like saying that, that sounds kind of funny.
Even my first, right? Sure, if you like the puzzle. Oops, hopefully that's not offensive to leprechauns. I don't know. Madrigal.
So this is pretty close to completion now. The only things left really are the sewing machine itself and a little platform to raise the sewing machine up to the correct height. Now if you recall, I'm doing that so as if my girlfriend gets a different sewing machine later on that's a different height, we can take that out and put in the appropriate spacer. So again, that will sit flush with the top. So we'll have the sewing machine sit here. We'll get this will be used mostly by that. There'll be a little bit of room so to store the foot pedal at the side of it. We've got a hole here to feed the cables through into the side of the sewing machine, and or the back really, and a drawer here just to keep odds and ends, maybe some bobbins, that sort of thing. And so here it is, the finished product. So yeah, it's small and simple, but like I said, it's designed to fit into a small space. Alright, so a bit of a different project, hopefully of some help. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again next time.